You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Marcus, what's the best Ranger movie ever made?
Man, that's a tough one. There's some good ones. Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan.
Dude, all of them. I mean, they don't have any bad Ranger movies. Not a single bad. What?
John Wayne do a Ranger movie too?
He did all Ranger movies. He was a Green Beret and a Ranger, right? The whole time. Lee Marvin, remember what? Weren't they Rangers? I'm telling you what.
What about the Power Rangers?
Come on, dude.
What, there's a difference?
Come on.
Keep talking shit.
You are. We're going to get, guess what?
Hey,
you think everybody loves the Wizard now. Keep putting that shit out and sees what happens.
Yeah. I've been chucking shit to Rangers.
I'll tell you a good Ranger. I'll tell you a good Ranger rescue movie, Lone Survivor. If I had to say, the Rangers been pulling me out of the basket of hell for
a long time, dude.
Baby.
God bless the Rangers for that one. Holy cow.
You know what? Morgan loves to run in those Ranger panties.
What are those all about, bro?
I don't know, man. That's kind of like some hidden thing. That, you know how it feels like there's some weird. I guess they're UDTs.
UDTs are shorter.
But we don't wear the UDTs when we get in though.
Yeah, we do. At Team 1, we did.
Of course you do.
But that's Team 1, bro.
You got some with buttons on? No, of course not. They didn't have any buttons. I mean, the UDTs.
UDTs. Yeah, they're button fly. They were button fly, weren't they?
Never any buttons there.
No, they ripped off. Yeah.
And the back of it had how many one lines and how many names?
The names, dude.
For example, when would you wear some UDTs?
What? Well, I was first Louis guy, so every time I'd go and do engines, I'd wear UDTs because I'd get covered in grease.
Man, I grew out of mine. You got some issued when you got to 1?
I got to,
reissued UDTs?
Heck yeah. No, new ones. Brand new ones.
Really?
Yes.
What's that like?
It was awesome, dude. Yeah, because they fit right.
They fit right.
And they weren't all torn up, right? You would only get like a nice pair of blue, like Team 1 shorts.
Yeah, the blue.
If you'd been around a little bit.
Or the cargo shorts.
Yeah. No, we didn't get cargo shorts. We had like the
green
the
cargo
runner
shorts.
The runner.
So you carry a knife.
No, we didn't have any of that shit. Team 1, man.
We're STV. We work a lot. I had to carry screwdrivers and fucking.
Yeah, we didn't. No. By the time when came in, they were issuing them like 2XU stuff and Under Armour and all that stuff. You were getting like high speed stuff, weren't you?
I don't think I ever got any shorts.
What? What?
Yeah, I got some dolphin shorts for like PT.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was
PT. Okay. Point fact. Our dolphin shorts for PT, right?
Yeah.
And then the Ranger panties is what they wear.
But where did Morgan come up with Ranger panties?
Same thing though.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, way different. Not even close.
What? It's like wearing satin panties.
Yeah, satin, silky panties. Whole different ball game.
The mesh, all that mesh that comes in the dolphin shorts that we cut out.
Yeah,
I'm talking about different dolphin shorts. Then
they upgraded during his time.
These are high quality nylon
figures.
Yeah, they evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Ranger panties. And what's up with this?
We need performance gear on the East Coast though, because we do real work.
Oh God! Now he's hitting on us. Now he's hitting on us.
I mean, you just throw a West Coast slam at us?
He did off the top rope, dude. Listen, West Coast won. West Coast all the way, 5. Dude.
Saving Private Ryan, Ranger movie.
Awesome.
They're Rangers, yeah.
Hardcore. Point Duhawk Rangers, right? Here's the question, though. Were there any actual Rangers who were actors in those movies? Because have we got one coming up today? We have got a Ranger. And he was 3 combat deployments, 2 to Afghanistan, one to Iraq, and Wizard's going to tell you his dossier right now, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got you back. And we can, let me give you the folder I put together on Rocco.
You have a polished packet, perhaps a brochure.
I got a VHS video cassette of his bio.
and coded. And taped.
And we got one coming on here. Not only is he the real deal, but he's out there cutting a path to that next level where he will be an actual Ranger in real Hollywood movies. I guarantee it.
Still leading the way. Rangers lead the way.
Rangers
Still
lead the way, bud. And he does, along with his other buddies out there, Matt Best, Evan Haffer. I don't know if Evan was an actual Ranger. He was just SF, I think. Sorry, Evan. I forgot. Love you, buddy. All right. So, hey, welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell, and the guy who likes to provoke a lot of animosity in our brethren from other units, the Wizard.
I like to propagate conflict.
Did you just say propagate?
Yeah.
Instigate. Yeah, conflict.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Wizard. And if you're listening for the first time, you need to just grab hold of your bootstraps, take a knee, face outboard, and drink water, because this show is going to be action-packed. We are bringing on one of the coolest cats that's out there right now, former Ranger, former Border Patrol Special Operations guy, original member of Article 15 Clothing Company. I mean, the list goes on, and the Wizard's going to tell you more. We're bringing on Vincent Rocco Vargas to the show.
Vincent Rocco Vargas.
I love this dude. I love this guy. He cracks me up, man. He cracks me up. Tell her if you're back. However, if you're coming back for more, if you're back and you've been here a bunch,
You're coming back for the first time, and the first time that this has happened that you've been back.
Did that make any sense? It
Not what you said.
Not what I said.
Yeah.
What I'm talking to is the listeners who come back all the time, and we love you. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate your support because you're the ones making this show happen. If you're here for the first time, go visit our website at tnqpodcast.com. Check out all the cool merch we got. Check out all the cool listener stories that have been submitted, and get a better vibe and feel for Team Never Quit and the tribe that we're building here. All right, Wizard. That was painful to get through. Ooh. I think this bandana is cutting the circulation off to my brain. Can you please?
No doubt. No sunglasses in this relatively dark room are not helping out.
No, I can't see anything at all.
And you're being choked out
and
by that top button.
top button on my flannel.
I couldn't get mine up either.
Get yours up there, dude.
On your Vato
My neck. I'm in off season. The neck's kind of.
It's big. Yeah, mine's big right now too. You there?
Yeah, there we go.
Nice, dude. Hold on. And we'll get a photo of this and post it for y'all.
I'll post as soon as they both pass out too.
I know. I'm actually feeling lightheaded. Are you?
When I was dressed up earlier, my head started to sweat. I was like, earwax is around like, oh no.
Coming out? Leaking? Are you leaking? You got cerebral spinal fluid coming out of your nose right now.
Basal skull fracture. The battle signs over here.
From your Vato wear. Can you die from your attire? You can die.
A fashion victim.
You can die because of the attire you wear in certain places, but you're not gonna die. Oh, I don't know. There's some twisted shit out there.
when Bruce Willis wore that sign in Die Hard 2?
Oh, it's so good.
Dude,
Fashion kills.
Fashion.
Yes.
Samuel Jackson's like, what did he say to him? Hey, man, you having a bad day? Because you're about to.
Because you're about to. Yeah. Wizard, tell us about Rocco, will you please?
Vincent Rocco Vargas. As we've been talking about, he is a former U.S. Army Ranger, combat vet, did 3 deployments with 2nd Bet, 75th Rangers. He gets out of that. He spent some time with DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, working with Border Patrol on their special operations group there. And then after that, he really just started to expand in film, as an actor, as a writer, a producer. Let's see, some of the things he's done. 2015, a movie comedy called Helen Keller versus Night Wolves. If you haven't seen the trailer for this, at least look it up. It's hilarious. He's worked obviously on Range 15, a short film called The Long Way Back.
By the way, Range 15, Marcus was in, and this was, when you think about this film, the beauty of the film is not that it's a zombie apocalypse movie made by veterans, but it's the beauty of it is that a bunch of veterans, a bunch of squared away dude, right? Nick Palmisano, who's been on the show, Matt Best, Jack Mandeville, JT Taylor, Vincent, Evan. These guys got together with a dream to make a movie and brought it to fruition with the help and support of their fans, man. That's what I love about it. If you want to know, really see something really
being
cool,
crowdfunded,
right? Something really cool is go watch Range 15, download it, buy it, but then watch This Is Not a War Story, the documentary about the making. Super cool by Tim O'Donnell. Sorry, I interjected.
No, right. And then, like you mentioned, Not a War Story documentary. He's been working on, I guess, less comedic, more serious projects. Darkness of Light was a movie that he acted in 2017, and he's now in pre-production for a TV series coming out called Mayans MC, covering the MC from Southern California there, right? Is that
yeah, the motorcycle. It's a spin-off from Sons of Anarchy. Same people did that are doing this one, man. Thus the reason I'm wearing my outfit. Although they're bikers, so I'm way off, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Vato, you know what Vato is from? It's slang for youth, for a youth who means business.
Is it?
On the street, yeah, you say it's Vato.
Is it?
Yeah.
How do you know this?
From Texas.
Oh, I didn't know.
I was going to say, I don't know that. That's Mexican slang.
What was that great movie?
Out west, kind of.
Stand By.
Not out west, but
what was it? The great movie with Edward James Olmos. He's the teacher who teaches them all.
Stand and Deliver?
Stand and Deliver. That's it. Nice
good.
job. Great movie. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, let's refocus.
It's tough right now. I can't breathe.
I know. So motorcycle Mayans MC. He's part of the Drinking Brothers podcast. He is also involved in several businesses. He's an entrepreneur. He started one of the founding members of Article 15 Clothing. He is involved in Lead Slingers Whiskey, Gunfighter Tobacco, Huckleberry Beard Company. He's pushing himself into all kinds of new avenues. It's really interesting. And he's got 6 kids and lives in El Paso.
6 kids.
Seis. Hijos.
In
El Paso.
El Paso.
That's right.
I love this guy. What do you think, brother? Should we bring?
Oh yeah, man.
We bring him on?
Yep.
All right. What's the Rangers fight song? Rangers lead the way.
Wait, don't tell me. It's yeah.
Oh, Rubber Ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots
Come
of
on,
fun.
dude.
Rubber Ducky, I'm awfully fond of you.
Marcus, I'm going to tell you what, brother, because I know you have a personal relationship with this man. The fact that he is out there on the front lines trying to cut path in an industry that you know a lot about, that you know how hard it is, but he's out there with his head down, grinding it out. That's what I love about him, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good cast, man. When I first got out on the set with him, we kind of butted. I matter of fact, he picked me up, him and another guy, and man, it was one of those deals where I wish I would have run across him in the field.
Right?
Yeah, it'd been fun to do that. Just the intensity that we had and how much fun we had on that set. You knew it would have correlated over into the box. So, well,
I'll tell you what, my favorite cats to work with, man, hands down, are Rangers, right? Because there's a camaraderie, there's a mutual respect within our two groups, our two units, that just flourishes when we come together, especially when we start talking shit. That's what I love about it the most.
Well, we've been going at it long enough to where each of us has stepped on the other one's dick, and it gives them the, hey, you remember that? And you're like, yeah, all right, whatever. We got to bring up old shit, right? Yeah, it's always something.
Well, let's get them on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without further ado, Vincent Rocco Vargas. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, boys?
Dude, we just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show with us, brother. We just have mad respect for you and what you're doing, and as an entrepreneur, an actor, a writer, producer. But in my heart, the thing that I admire most about you and the fact that I know you're absolutely insane is that you got 6 kids, dude.
Yeah, man, that's probably the one thing I'm most proud of as well.
I got 2, brother, and I often feel like I'm in meltdown mode, like I'm going in the OODA loop on a regular basis, dude.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a lot.
crazy, but it's fun, man. I think it makes life a lot more entertaining.
Absolutely. This is the best part of it, having the kids, having your own tribe, your own recon team, because each one of them have their own personalities. Like, that's my kid saying, I got the wife over here. Why in the hell are you so different than everybody? What the hell's wrong with you? But, man, it just teaches you so much about yourself. Because ultimately, man, when I look at Axe and Hunter, man, that's the next version of me. So I want to train them.
That's a scary thought, dude.
Yeah, you want to train them and give them everything that you didn't have.
Yeah,
you look at it
totally.
from that perspective, you're like, all right, what did I want at that age, and what did I really need? And that's kind of
let's before we jump into this, because Rocco, I definitely want to get your perspective on parenting, how you've taken your incredible life experience, your never quit story, your stories, and translated it into parenting. But before we do that, brother, here's the deal, man. You got to run the Mad Minute with us now. All right. Now I know you're used to like a Mad Minute when you got some savage zip tied and you're looking at him and you want to know some info. But our Mad Minute is fun because this show is all about positivity. It's all about bringing light to hard situations. So we're gonna do a little warm up. Are you ready, brother?
Yes.
Okay. And at any moment, if things should get a little out of control, just, face outboard, take a knee and drink water there, brother. So, Marcus, fire away.
favorite superhero.
Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you didn't just say that.
Ah, come on. Did he game that?
Why,
Rocco.
does he hate Spider-Man?
Dude, he has a giant Spider-Man cutout above his seat in the studio.
Peter Parker at heart.
Oh, you too.
Well, Spider-Man was a young kid you could look up to. You see, he was being a badass and he was doing superhero shit, right? So you kind of fell in love with that.
Yeah, as
Alright.
a quirky teenager. We're all quirky when we're teenagers, but he had that amazing gift and battling both. I don't know.
You don't go on. You go
Yeah,
down a
it's
rabbit
gonna
hole
get
on that
around.
again, dude. I literally, I'm gonna break my head against this table.
Yeah.
All right, Wizard, fire away.
Okay, the classic question. Would you rather be hogtied and locked in a closet for 30 minutes with A, 5 water moccasins, or B, a chimpanzee with a grenade and a hyperactive sense of curiosity?
Jesus. A hogtied. Rather be hogtied.
I like it.
You're going to be hogtied. Would you rather be in there with water moccasins or a chimpanzee with a grenade?
No, water moccasins. As much as I'm terrified of that shit, but the chimpanzee with a grenade, I assume he's gonna fuck it up.
Exactly.
literally,
The consequences
literally.
are much more severe. I dig it.
Or, yeah, either the monkey is, or I'm going to trying to pull that damn grenade out of his hand.
Right?
The moccasin. At least there's only one of us that can make that mistake.
Exactly.
You know how strong chimpanzees are? They attack straight
very.
for your nuts when they want to fight you. Like, I wouldn't fuck with a chimpanzee.
How do you know
Grenade or
that?
not.
How do you know that?
I don't know. I've Googled it or some shit.
Okay, all right, check. Monkeys are like those little monkeys are like little people for me. They just scare me.
I hate primates.
Yeah.
They said, what was that lady? She said
They're
that
too
her
close to
idea was
humans.
like, all right, while it was attacking me, I was just going to stick my arm down its mouth so it couldn't bite me. It couldn't close its mouth. Well, the pressure they have is so great that it snapped it right off.
Whoops.
Whoa, this is a rabbit hole. All right, here you go. Next question. If you could pick a dream career other than what you're doing right now, which is a lot, what would it be? And tell me what your greatest achievement would be in it.
It would be a professional baseball player and it'd be winning the World Series. You know what I mean? Like, I used to play baseball. I played college baseball before I joined the military. That was my childhood dream, and I watched the game, and I just love the game of baseball and what it stands for and the incredible miracles that happen daily in the sport. So I would just love to be a part of that and see what it feels like to win a World Series.
Brother, here's what we're gonna do, dude. I work with the Red Sox, and if we can, we're gonna get you to come out and hang out with them this year, dude. How's that?
Astros.
That would be crazy badass, man. No, that'd be awesome.
Done. Marcus, fire away.
All right, last thing you did in public, you were glad no one was looking.
Oh, I'll probably shit my pants.
Yeah,
No big deal.
yeah me too.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
My wife gives me so much shit about, like, she goes, "Why do you push your farts out?" I was like, "Well, because they hurt. I want to get them out." And she goes, "That's why you shit often." And I was like, I don't think they go hand in hand. I just have stomach issues, I guess.
All right, Rocco, what is your power animal?
Oh man, I love platypuses or I love platypuses, man. You know, but power would be more of a rhino, I'm assuming. But I just feel like platypuses are just fucking awesome.
Dude, there is a little thing on my youngest daughter's little iPad game where this guy, this full-grown male, has like a Muppet of a platypus and sings this song, "'Cause I'm a platypus. And my daughter and I roll for hours while we're singing that song together. So I feel you, man. Platypus, that's serious power animal.
Marcus.
All right, brother. Best dive bar you ever been in, and where's it at?
The best dive bar is probably going to be the first dive bar I've ever been in. It was in Owensboro, Kentucky, a small place called Martin's. It was actually the first liquor license bar in Owensboro at the time. And so it's really just like one straight strip and a shitty urinal. It's fucking amazing.
Brilliant. It's brilliant in its
Oh,
simplicity.
that's awesome, dude. Now, we ought to just start. That's got to be a regular question because we got to start writing all these
like
down and keep a
mine's
catalog.
Like Sorley's in New York.
Oh, the oldest bar. Abraham Lincoln's
And then,
chair is in there.
Yeah, that's right. That stool.
Yeah,
for emancipation.
dude.
And there's one in Georgia that we stumbled on after a Patriot tour. It's in Atlanta, I think. I don't want to screw this up, man, or Savannah. And the guy walked us down to the river, and then we came up from the basement. We walked in there. There was more military memorabilia in that from World War II. I mean, Medal of Honors from the guys,
Wow.
coins from everywhere. For life of me,
And
I
it's
can't
in
remember the
Atlanta?
name.
Somewhere in
Can't remember the
Atlanta?
name of it, man.
Buckhead or something?
I don't want to screw that up.
We'll figure that out. All right. All right. Last question from the wizard. Go ahead and fire away, bud.
All right, if you could raise one person from the dead, bring them back from the past to walk in the modern world, who would it be and why?
Oh, crap.
I'm telling you, I hate him too.
Yeah, dude, that's a tough one, man. I can't, dude, this one stumps me right now. I don't even know where I would go with this. Is it a fighter? Is it an actor? Or would I want, a politician or somebody? This kills me.
You know, I'd pick.
Just pick Andrew Jackson. He covers down all those.
No, you're not Andrew Jackson, dude.
There's actually
No.
something to what he just said. That's pretty good, Marcus. I like that. Fighter, politician, public
All the above.
figure,
Yeah, he's
significant
I was
history.
like, well, Andrew Jackson. He's all those.
Good
George
answer.
Washington.
I have the same issue trying to answer these questions too because he's trying to
Then
find
why do
the
you
best
write 'em?
answer.
Then why do you
I like
write
to
them?
trick fuck people.
hey, just out of curiosity, what? Hey,
John F. Kennedy. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I
John
like
F.
it.
Kennedy.
but what was the first one that popped in? You know, there's always that real fast one. And you're like, well, I got to do a better one than that. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
Jesus, always.
It is Jesus,
The
right?
first one
It's
that
Jesus.
came to mind is going to be like the lead singer of Sublime, Brad Knoll. He killed himself or he OD'd on heroin. I was a big Sublime fan. I always thought like it would have been cool to see what his music would be like now. That's my.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, see?
That's so cool.
That's why you got to go with that first thought. That's a
Oh,
good
I
answer.
like that. That's a great answer.
Dig it.
All right. So, Rocco, that was the mad 30 minutes for you. We appreciate your answers. But now we've got to pivot and get down to the nitty gritty. We've got to go to the place where this is why our listeners come. This is why they are such dedicated followers, because we have such incredible guests such as yourself come on. And really, to imagine as you tell this story or these stories, think to yourself about those people out there that are struggling with their own battle. They're trying to find out what their never quit mindset looks like, and they're looking to you and to us to provide them with some type of spark or ignition point so they can get up and face the hardships of their life. So, Rocco, without further ado, brother, would you please share your greatest never quit story or stories with our listeners?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, essentially, if you kind of dig deep and see who I am and why I am the way I am, it starts with obviously my mother and my father, and I think they had the no quit mentality at a young age. And to explain that better is my mother was raised in poverty. She would pick cotton and strawberries just so she could try and buy a pair of used shoes.
Wow.
And living in a house with dirt floors, herself in the field at 7, 8, 9 years old. And she wanted to be more than that. When she became 18, she moved to Los Angeles, California. And at that same time, my father at 16 was just getting in trouble with gangs. He was an LA kid in gangs and got arrested and decided to join the Marines. Just by fate, man, they both met during one of his leave weekends, and eventually they got married. My father went from being a framer, construction worker, and enough money to eat, and so he went to go apply for unemployment. And he saw there was an employment opportunity for the fire department, Los Angeles City firefighters, and he took the test and passed. And it's just a continuing story with these two to see that they both came from typically pretty much nothing and continue to strive to be more than that. And I have been raised with this mindset is, I can honestly achieve anything I want, from having a father who is just a gang member to 32 years career as a LA City firefighter, now retired, and now
awesome.
is currently known as one of the well-known cutmen in boxing. To
Get out of here.
Really?
He is. Yeah, his name is Cutman Carlos. You can Google him. He has some of the biggest fighters, and
That's awesome.
This is what he does now. He believes in something and he goes towards it. And the same as my mother, and she's been, the sweetest person I've ever lived with in my entire life, and she's inspired me to be who I am. That's why I don't see a boundary. I've never seen boundaries in my life. I've never thought that I couldn't be in Hollywood. I just said, well, what's the steps I need to take to get to Hollywood? Because there's obviously a path. The reason
Yeah, but, brother, your path has not been, obviously, the typical route to Hollywood, man, at all. So, help people understand along the way, how those pivots, starting probably with your athleticism as a kid, because I know that's real important for you and your kids. Why so?
Yeah, well, because sports taught me a lot. Sports taught me loss. Sports taught me how to bounce back. The reason I have resiliency is because baseball is such a negative sport, right? Such a difficult sport. When you're a good ball player, when you bat 30%, you do 30% anything else in life, you're a loser. And so I played a career of playing baseball, the most negative, difficult sport ever, and still loved the sport. I fell in love with losing because I learned what I needed to do to get better, and I built myself. And I took that with me everywhere. I took that same mindset in the military. We've lost friends. I've seen some stuff that still bothers me, but at the same time, I continue moving forward, right? Like whatever I've learned in sports and what I've learned in life, what my parents have faced, it's just facing adversity and continuing to move forward. How do I better myself? Every day, that's like the thought process in my head is, what am I going to do today to make myself better? By the end of the year, I'm going to be a better person. And if I've done that every year, so on and so forth, I'm going to continue to advance in whatever position I need. And that's what I've done. I got out of the military and had a lot of trouble with transitioning because, fuck, man, you get out and I was an Army Ranger, and I really felt that I accomplished some amazing shit, and I did, but the rest of the world didn't fucking get it, right? And it ate me up for years, from drinking to losing a marriage. You know what I mean? All this stuff killed me, and then eventually I realized, like, man, this is all part of the process. This is all part of the story. And anything that bad happens to me, it's like it's part of the story, and it's fine. You know what I mean? I'm going to continue to write my pages of my life, and eventually, in the end, it's going to be a success story. I'm going to continue to see fucking negativity and keep going.
Well, I love that mindset, and for our listeners, if you really want to hear a great piece that Rocco wrote, you can go to the History channel or history.com, and he writes this great blog entry called "After the War: A Soldier's Struggle to Come Home," where he identifies 5 key things that soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and coasties struggle with in their process. And I thought it was a really beautiful article that you wrote in there. But before we get there, one of the interesting things that I really found about your background was this concept, and you talk about it on your awesome podcast, the Vinny Rock podcast, and where you talk about how in school you never felt that drive. You always kind of came, it wasn't your thing. How come you couldn't find it in that space right there? And do better in school and thrive there?
Well, I had a reading disorder. And
that makes a difference.
Yeah, and it was a big deal. The first book I've ever read was my first deployment. My team leader made me read a book, and he actually helped me get through it. I had a dictionary on my hand, I had a thesaurus, I had the book, and I had a highlighter pen, and everything I couldn't read, he would get me through it. And those are things that back in the day in LA City, they probably didn't identify that I was dyslexic. We realized later, because one of my sons is dyslexic, and we're like, whoa, that's probably what my problem was for so many years. I couldn't read. And I got by because I was good at baseball. You know what I mean? Like, teachers would pass me the C's. I went to summer school for making up for the classes I kept failing. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy school. I loved it. I mean, I like learning. Like, now at my age where I can read well and I can actually, get some knowledge, I enjoy it. But it was a lot of insecurities with reading that kind of deterred me from doing anything else. I kind of shied away from anything when it comes to education, because that was kind of the dark cloud over my head. Once I got through that, man, it was gold.
What's crazy to me is, and this is a massive problem out there, and I think it's such a blessing for you to understand that. And so, with your kids, with your son, that now we know how difficult that is for people to face as young kids, right? Because of those embarrassment factors, because of, they don't want to be different or thought that they're, whatever. But in reality, they really need to do what, Rocco? They need to get out and make it known, hey, I'm struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you had to speak up. Like, once we found out he was having trouble, all we did was focus more time on his reading and show him how to get through his difficulties. And the kid's doing good in school. And if I knew better as a kid, I would have asked for help early on, because kids are ruthless, and being made fun of for reading is a frustrating thing. And you know how kids are in school. You've gotten a lot of fights for that shit.
Yeah. Definitely, there's some stuff that comes out in high school when you think about it at this age. It's just like, I can't even believe I was worked up about that. And now that you have kids in college and high school, and you try and tell them, hey, it's not that big of a deal. But in their world,
massive.
Yeah, you think back. And I think coming out of the military, you're right. Once you do the jobs that we do, man, the life is fast and hard, right? And there's so many opportunities for us to get out there, especially when there's a war, and for us to perform. And then when you get out, I think it's kind of hard to find something that goes as fast as that. And I think the trick is to do a lot of things. Yeah. Because that's what we actually do a lot of stuff from sun up to sundown in the military, but it becomes routine for us and it's a part of our life. And then when you get out, you drop those little things. And I think that in itself, man, if you kind of maintain, they always say that too. That's why the Marines shave and blouse their boots out in the field, man, is that routine to keep your mind off of combat. Well, the combat of life, or that daily stressor, same thing. Have multiple hobbies. Like, there's always something when you finish one thing, and then as you kind of get back into that playing field, you pull them away and you slow down to that point to where you got that, you're back to your homeostasis as a civilian. And we talk about it too, man. For every 10 years you're in, you're probably gonna need about 2 to get out. Right?
At least.
Yeah,
at least.
And it's also important for the guys when they get out of the military, take a step back and realize in that little section of your life how much freaking fun we had. Couldn't do it anywhere else.
Hands down. And that's what I when you think about that, and I want to go back and just touch a little bit. You were a baseball player. That was your passion. That was your life. All of a sudden you make this transition, like, all right, but I'm not feeling a sense of fulfillment in that where I wanted to be. I'm going to go in the military. How did that happen for you, Rocco?
Well, I had my first daughter she was born, and at the time I'm still playing college ball, but I'm not doing good academically. I'm watching the war on TV, and it's killing me that I'm not there. I'm killing me that I don't have the stories that some of these guys have, and being able to be a part of that. And so, I knew I was going to fail out of college. I wasn't doing already. So here's the funny thing. The first recruiter I went to was a Navy recruiter, because the only thing I knew about the military, besides the Marines, like my dad, was a Navy SEAL. So I told him, I said, how can I be a Navy SEAL? And he goes, well, we can do underwater welding and then get you in the contract, but if you don't make it. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound right. I didn't know any better. So I told him, like, let me think about it. I went outside, and the Army recruiter was telling me about the Army Rangers. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds cool. And he goes, plus you have college, I can give you a bonus. And I was like, all right. And so I ended up going that route, started watching everything I could about learning what a Ranger was. And eventually I showed up and somehow got through it all.
I love that. I did the same, Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, Black Hawk Dad. Those were back then when there wasn't all the stuff written in all the different, documentaries. Yeah. Like that was our go-to, right?
Yeah, I didn't know any better,
It almost gets to the point to where you spend enough time in the military, and especially the selected branches, you get so many skill sets that when you get out, I think some of the guys and people have this perception of what a warfighter is capable of and isn't capable of. They don't know the whole dynamic of it. And if you're in there for a long time, you have a lot of skill sets, especially the higher rank, you get more responsibilities. And sometimes I think guys get out and they get pigeonholed, trapped into a skill set they had when they were a private. And they know they're capable of something like a sergeant major or what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the reset.
And they've had to reset all the way back down. When in reality, when you come out of the military, especially after 20 years, man, that's 20 years of experience. I mean, while everybody else just kind of went out and got the few years of school in and then went into the career field, man, you're schooling and career field the entire time.
That's actually the fifth stage of what Dave mentioned before in the after the war soldiers struggle. The fifth point that Rocco wrote here is the veteran who gets through these stages to realize he's a civilian now, but a civilian who has the tools that he learned in the military, and that these tools can make him successful. I mean, you want to talk a little bit more
than the way I said it? You definitely explained that a lot better than I did. You should have led with that while I'm over here clamoring around this microphone and fucking make my point.
It was good, though.
No, it's
good. Rabbit holes.
That's what reminded me of this.
Really?
But Rocco, you want to talk maybe a little bit more about those stages of transition and maybe your story as you went through them?
Yeah, when I wrote that, it's just I've been active in the veteran community for a while. I help with Drinking Bros. It's a big veteran community, as well as just patriots and like-minded individuals, and I've been helping a lot with a lot of veterans transitioning, going around doing transition speeches, and it's the same thing. Like, everyone goes through the same exact cycle, or a very similar cycle. There's some guys obviously that miss a few stages, but I got out originally thinking I was kind of the society owed me a thank you and a high five and a discount. And I don't know why that came. It just, for some reason, I got out expecting to be appreciated a lot more than I was, and it fucking mentally crushed me when no one gave a shit. And no one should give a shit, right? Like, realistically, like, no one should. And then I went through the rest of the stages from I used to drink on every anniversary date of a fellow buddy who died, and that killed me, man. For years, it would be worse and worse. Like, every year I was trying to, tonight I'm going to try and finish 2 bottles of fucking Jack, and because it's for them. And I kept doing these things, and I didn't realize, I didn't see it till later. Like, all I was doing was hurting myself, and it's something that they themselves would never want, right? They would want to see success. They themselves wouldn't waste a life that's given to them, and they would go and try and achieve great shit. There's part of you that needs that, right? But eventually, you can't dedicate to kill yourself on the anniversary date every year, because then eventually you start to see it as if you died that day as well, right? And that's what you start to do, and it's not beneficial to someone trying to be successful in the civilian culture by becoming an alcoholic frickin' on certain days. It's really, it turns into some negativity, and for me personally is what I've identified. And so, but I'm not the only one. A lot of my buddies do it, right? And so it was just like, we go through these stages. It's almost
really
like
common,
grieving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going through like stages of like acceptance and understanding, and finally you get through it all and be like, okay, fuck, dude, I've transitioned and I've gone through some shit, and I'm done blaming everyone else for it. I realize, I look in the mirror and see, like, I fucked myself up, and it's all good. I can get through this, and I continue moving on. And so that's what the last stage was, is like, then you realize that, you know, you're just another civilian now with a lot of fucking skills, and let's go fucking crush the civilian world now. And that's when you get through all the fucking stages.
I love it. Do you remember that moment? Was it a specific moment, or was it a gradual aha when you're like, all right, you know, the rock's off, I'm out, I can drop my shield, now I can pursue X dream? Was it a specific time for you?
Yeah, for me, it was like I had to give up the whole lifestyle. You're right. I still lived in that world. I got out and went Special Operations Border Patrol, and I was with I was attached with Vortex, and we were doing missions, and we were kicking in fucking doors, and we're doing all the same shit, right? So it ended up lucking right back into a community that felt comfortable, but it still was eating away at my personal life. I went through another divorce, right? I became a single father. And when I walked away from that career and started focusing on business and entertainment, I felt that. I felt the weight lifted off of me. I felt that I wasn't holding on to being a Ranger anymore. I was now accepting that side of me is gone, and it's time to be a father. And so I kind of started stepping up more in my kids' lives. I became a single father in 2013, raising the 4 kids on my own for a while. And then, I went through an ugly relationship and jumped right, now, years later, I met an amazing woman, and we have 2 kids, and total here in the mindset of, I wish I was still kicking indoors. I think we always do, but I've kind of let that side of me go and appreciate all those years. But it's time to move on to greener pastures, you know?
Man, you nailed it. I had to have somebody tell me that I wasn't a SEAL anymore either. They have to tell you that, right?
Literally.
And the craziest part is that we've had our generation, we've dealt with so much death that we you're right. You're talking about drinking on the anniversary, every one of them dying, man. Well, we've actually, we got it down to where it's crazy that we figured that we actually have a pattern of what happens. So from the time they die till we put them in the ground, it's a debauchery going. I mean, it's all or nothing. And then once we slam them, those tridents home, put them in the ground, then from there on out, we live out our lives like they would want us to. Your friends don't want you to drag your butt and feel sorry for yourself, man. You make, it's that life promise, like 19 promises, man. I'm going to mourn your death. And then on the anniversary of it, yeah, we remember them, but you don't go back down and kill yourself over
Negative.
it. Yeah, you do something better on that day. Here's what I finally came down. You got to give up being a SEAL because you're not one anymore. But I think if you hold on to the outline of what we are, is kind of what will keep you sane, because it's what we are. I mean, you'll never completely get rid of it.
Good framework.
Yeah, exactly. It's a model of what you are. It's the type of man that you are. It's those baselines that we build up from the bottom down. And we started when we were kids, and baseball and sports, and into the military, and it's just always adding one more layer on top of yourselves. And then when you get into that dad fold, protection and enforcement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Rocco talks about that on his podcast on a couple of shows, about that transition in your life where you're like, all right, this is what I want to do now, but I don't know squat about it. I'm going to pay attention to this person and this person. You talk about Nick and Matt and Evan and all these things, and you're just consuming this information. What was that like for you? It must have been invigorating.
What happens is they overlook the glaring thing that they have a plan. They know what they want. Most people don't even know that. Like, even if they don't know anything about it, but you know what you want to do, that's all you need. Because you can just ask somebody where to go to learn about it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. I sat there watching and just, look, some of these guys didn't know any more than I did, but some of them did. And I just sat there watching and learning and just soaking it all in. I mean, guys like Nick, obviously, were the first guys with the veteran T-shirt business that's been successful. Guys like Evan and Matt, Matt doing the whole social media marketing, entertainment side of things, and Evan, doing the coffee business. But these are guys that you have to sit there and watch and take in. You're going to see what you can learn from and what you can take, and stuff that you're probably not going to do, right? And like in any leadership that I've ever had, I take things that I like, and then I trash out the shit I don't. And so, I've done that for so many years. And I think the biggest part is most guys aren't willing to actually do it, right? Like, just go ahead and just fucking do it. Like, when I did my podcast, I sat here Googling, YouTubing, and eventually I just fucking recorded and posted. because at one point you just got to do it, right? You just got to go ahead and throw it out there and see what happens. And a lot of people don't do that. Their willingness, they don't have the willingness to engage. They just have the willingness to talk about it. And when the time is right, they're going to start a business, or they're going to help more veterans, or they're going to, whatever they're going to do, but they don't do it, right? And I think the biggest thing is the fear of failure holds a lot of people back.
Well, where did that development come from? I mean, you said that came from the example of your parents, or did you pick that up later? You know, where and how do people apply this if that's not something they already have in their lives?
I don't know. Like I said, from military, I mean, from starting with sports and then military, you see a lot of loss and failure and hurt, and you have to bounce back. And I think to live a good life, you have to experience a lot of shit. You know what I mean? To live a fulfilled life, you go through it. You get put through the ringer. You make mistakes. You could become bankrupt. There's several times I thought I was going bankrupt, but you keep driving on, right? There's a reason why I love this. It's a challenge. It's something new for me, and I feel like I can be good at it. But I also know there's a risk involved where you lose everything.
Sure. Well, you know, pain and fear, aggression, that's all relevant to the person, to the beholder.
Amen.
I mean, you're right, man. The only way you're going to know you're having a good life is to have some bad times to weigh it off of. And if you're weighing it off of somebody else's bad times, then that's not your life. I mean, there's been plenty of times people are like, oh, this is terrible, blah, this, that, and the other. Then it happens to you, like, well, I actually enjoyed it. I had a good time, you know what I mean? And that's how you know that we're different, right? And I think when we're getting them out of the military, too, what happens is because we separate, we go back home, and some guys get out there and they don't have any boys around. Best thing we did was stay together. And your friends, especially, man, if you went through combat with somebody, if you can go over to a foreign country and strap on some armor and stay alive and go into other people's houses and do what we did, trying to tell me you can't come back home and do anything? I mean, anything to make it work, just with that collective. Even if you just keep them on the phone, tell them what you're doing. Because your boys always back you up, man. Regardless, there's just something that happens to us after we go through all that stuff. He and I never served together, but, man, it didn't matter. We were in the same box.
For sure.
Holding up different ends. You know what I mean? And when you get back, we click back together and have it's easy, isn't it? I mean, then it just feels smooth. When you're alone, it doesn't.
Well, a tribe is essential always in every facet of your life. We're pack
animals.
Yeah,
I mean, you
totally.
got to know that.
And us too, with the indoctrination of our psychology and how we succeed as a collective, both in our pain and outside of our pain, it's essential. You have to have it. My favorite part is the evolution of the soldier afterwards, right? When you're hitting the spot where Rocco is now. And one of my favorite things, which I said before we started recording to you, Rocco, is I love the fact that you're going into acting. And if people don't understand acting, it is one of the hardest professions there is on the planet, right? And because of what it's counterintuitive to guys like us, right? At all. Yeah. But what another very, I think very promising thing for all the people watching and supporting you is your vulnerability in that acting. Can you describe why you wanted to choose acting, what you're learning about yourself, and what you're taking from your past to help you improve on this new craft?
Yeah. Man, so the reason I wanted to try acting is I grew up in LA and I see it, but it's always been something interest. I love the storytellers. I love movies, and so I wanted to be a part of that. I would love to be a face in that world, and so I tried it. I actually went to an audition, but remember I couldn't read, and I completely screwed it up and was so embarrassed that I just completely walked away from it completely.
Wow!
Trying to sight read.
Wow!
Yeah. So from there, now doing Range 15, I kind of got inspired to try it again. And I was luckily given the opportunity to go to an audition, and I got a part. But in doing so, you realize how vulnerable that world is. You're having to pull from some emotions you've probably been trying to hide or hold back for years to bring out the acting side of you. And it's different, and it's difficult at times. And I guess it wasn't expected at first, but like any of us in the room, you guys, when you do anything, you want to be the best at it, and so I'm doing my best to try and kill it on film to represent, one, just myself and my family, and two, the veteran community, and proving that we can essentially do anything we put our minds to. But it's been myself to let go and just do what they want me to do and express and pull from emotions that have been held down for years,
So when you went into, let me ask you this. I was just curious. So for your auditions, and as well as I do in the and especially in the Rangers and in the teams, man, our training is 24/7, right? I mean, we just run the same thing over and over and over again. So, I mean, acting.
Yeah,
I
I acknowledge that for sure, but that's, I'm talking when he's in a scene with really experienced actors, and some of the guys he's working on the Mayans show with, I mean, these guys are phenomenal.
These guys have been training how many years longer? It's like coming into a room with a guy who's been in forever, right?
Yeah.
And they just were like,
Yeah.
you just know when
That's
they walk
exactly
in.
it. That's exactly it. Like, I sit there, I don't have the fear that they have because, fuck, I've been shot. I can give two fucks about acting. I'm not going to get hurt here. But, I actually want to show up there and be welcomed. And so when I go in there, I stand there next to a guy who's fucking done this and who has got, like, awards and shit. And you watch them, how they steal the show. They steal the scene, and it's intimidating, because you're like, fuck, dude, do I match up with this guy? Can I... are people going to watch this and be proud of what I've done or embarrassed? There's a lot that goes, it's vulnerable. You zone out essentially and you just kind of do what they ask and you hope to God it resonates on film.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's some deeper underlying really great lessons that you can speak to now, Rocco, because I think being in the civilian world and going, whether it's you're trying acting or you're getting a new job or you're working in some industry that you've never been around, there's a certain, respect that you have to get to their operators in that realm. And then there's a certain humility and openness that happens within your moving back to that buck private or back to the seaman or whatever to move forward. How do you recommend people acknowledge that space a little bit better for themselves and be more open to that vulnerability?
I think it's a big problem that we have with the male and the masculinity and being a shooter and being a badass, whatever the case it is. All these high speed dudes, not willingness to open up and be vulnerable. I think that's like a lot of my writing has been vulnerable. But I have a lot of guys that message me PM secretly and be like, "Dude, I love what you say. I love the honesty." And it's like, I know, man, but we could all be honest, right? We could all do that. And for some reason, we don't.
That's true,
but
man. They train that out of us.
I know. I feel like since I've let that side go of me a little bit more, I've been able to open more doors in this world. And so, and it made me a better father too. I'm willingness to really love on my kids and it's been different. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck.
No,
on that.
I think it's a wonderful that you're talking about this because I think the great contradiction is, or the assumed contradiction of you can't be a badass and also be a loving friend and father and spouse, that those two somehow don't match. It's all bullshit. The reality is, if you can be a warrior at death and a warrior at love in the same capacity, you grow infinitely more as a person and your ability to effectuate real positive change in the world around you. Can you describe a little bit about why you want to be not only an actor, but a producer and a writer too?
Yeah, I mean, I took this step because I didn't want to always be a YouTube guy. I didn't want to be a Facebook guy. I wanted to actually step out there and try and make a bigger name for myself, to have more power as a voice for the community. You could be a YouTube guy, but if the rest of the world knows me, who I am, they're going to sit there and want to listen to what I have to say. That's really the dream. That's the goal. Why would I want to step into acting and directing? I'm not so much in this for fame. Like, I don't give a crap about that at all, right? Like, my whole dream is to just be able to sit at my house, write a story, and send it off. But to be able to produce some of the stories out there that need to be told, whether it is military, whether it is law enforcement, whether it is family, whatever it is, but I would love to be a part of that and have a footprint in that, to be able to be the future storyteller of America, and with that, having a stronger voice for the community to help others is really just the goal and why I do what I do.
We're sitting here listening to you, and you talk more and more about this work that you're getting into, and you can tell that, you're passionate about this. How critical is being passionate, being really invested, just being 100% in on a new undertaking that you're getting yourself involved in, particularly one where you're reinventing yourself, such as you are here?
It's huge. I moved to Utah just to make sure I can fly into LA more faster and more reliable. And I've kind of given myself to this art, like opening myself up to other roles that might be crazy uncomfortable for guys like us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not afraid to play a woman if I had to. Why? Because it's a challenge. And yeah, right. And I know the rest of the community is probably like, dude, that's fucking weird, right? It is. But I'm dedicating to this for a reason, right? There's a method to my madness. There's a mission here. And if that's what I have to do to accomplish this mission, then I'll do it, because, in the end, like I said, it's a bigger voice for the veteran community, and that's what it's about. And so I feel like you have to fully give yourself to whatever it is that you want. And this is exactly what I'm willing to do.
I love it, man. I think it's so phenomenal that you go all in, in what you're doing. And our listeners out there, they hear that concept repeatedly, and they hear it in a couple different formats. If you had to tell our listeners something, right? Some piece of some Rocco, wisdom, what are you going to tell that person as the igniter, the Kickstarter that's going to get them going?
So there's a few things like I've carried with me my whole life throughout my career, from baseball all the way to the military and all the hard times, and it's been the words "can't break me," and that
nice.
And that means so much to me. It means no matter what it is, you can't break me. Whether it's a divorce, whether it's bankruptcy, whether it's a loss of a loved one, I don't care what it is. There's going to be a lot of things that hit me in life, and no matter what, the one answer I have for it is you can't break me. And so I've carried that with me. I tell my friends to fail fast, fail early, but never quit, and those are things that stick with me, and I'll continue to give back to the community. But, that's what I live by, and I hope that others can take that with them and hopefully motivate them again to keep on going.
I love it, brother. That's genius, man. We've had so many people that had their personal mottos or their idea, and that's really what the Team Never Quit podcast is all about, is to bring us together, to show these tools to really face adversity, to overcome the obstacles in life. And Rocco, man, you are a shining light in that respect, brother. So thank you. Before we get off, though, before we hang up, can you please, brother, tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can listen to you, what you're involved in, everything, man. Let's get the rundown.
Yeah, let's see. So just social media and Facebook, you go Vincent Rocco Vargas. Instagram, you can find it there too, vincent.rocco.vargas. You can go to vinnyrock.com, and that's where I have my podcast stuff, some of my shirts, as well as videos I've done, and my blogs. And that's really the place where I just kind of post my thoughts for life. Obviously owner of Article 50 Clothing, Lead Slingers Whiskey, beard.com, like beards, mustaches and stuff. So I own that as well. It's something I've been growing myself in, but brands like True North Motor Company, Freedom Jerky, that's beef jerky that every bag you buy goes to a nonprofit that helps veterans, again, with transition. Those are really the heart and soul of what I do. And that's it. I'm building more and more stuff. But really, essentially, if you guys are interested in following me, see what I got going on, check out my social media. I'm on there quite a bit.
Yeah, you are. And the posts that you put out, bro, are awesome. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm so grateful. I feel very blessed that we could get you on the show, brother. And thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you guys, man. It's an honor. And Marcus, hit me up, man. We'll talk more about movies.
All right, man. Freaking love you. Thanks again for coming on here.
Yeah, God bless you, brother.
Yeah, great talking to you.
Thanks, guys.
Once again, Marcus.
Once more into the breach, dear friends.
I love that you just brought a little Shakespeare out. I quote that all the time. You guys look at me like I'm nine-eyed, dude.
I don't know, just inspired right there.
Well, you know what I'm inspired by?
That's so well, too, Wizard.
He's got
like the first time I've ever heard it.
He's got that.
Said it?
No, I don't ever say it. I
think it's the lingering presence of Sir Robert Young Belton.
Oh, he's just sitting. He's around.
The man has impacted this show. He's left a crater.
wall poster right there.
We got to get him up, dude. World's most dangerous place poster.
Like a bronze bust.
Right? Of him and put it right there.
Robert Young Felton.
Sir Robert Young Belton.
Yeah, our first T&Q night, right? We'll have a whole
the first night of the first order.
first order.
What I'm saying, though, is once again, I'm listening to the dude and what he's done, where his parents came from, playing sports, dropping out of school, reading disability, joining the Rangers, 3 combat deployments, a special ops and border patrol,
Play baseball.
Actor now in a big series and writing his own stuff, and 6 kids.
Yeah.
Damn.
And life's an adventure, right? When you come up like that and you see many different worlds throughout your life, that perspective he has, and he's just open up to that. I would imagine as he starts writing, that's going to come out unfolded as it's going to look the next page, next chapter in that book. Man, this is where his mind's really going to blow out.
Exactly.
As to everything when you start putting that on paper and really thinking about it and putting those 2 and 2 together, and it gives you. It gives you a good track back through your life too, because a lot of that stuff gets overlooked by the.
Well, you forget it, or it becomes irrelevant, right? In the moments you're in.
The overall goal has been achieved, or not achieved, but I'm talking about the little steps that were so big in the beginning aren't anymore because you've hit some big landmarks,
totally
milestones, or whatever you want to call it,
and they're in the past.
Yeah.
And if you go also too, and for you, and there were a couple shows on his podcast where he gets into more depth on those. And so those are great places for our listeners to be able to go if you want to really dig into those changes, those shifts, and why he chose to do what he was doing.
Right. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I thought was really interesting was, I hesitate to say this because there's so much discussion around male vulnerability, exposing your emotions and all this nonsense. It can go way too far. It can be, to the castration of masculinity, which I think that there's a lot out there. There's a lot of type out there that want to push that agenda. But if you take a more middle of the road approach, where you do not have to, just because you're a badass, and you're tactically focused and all this, you have to shut everything else down. We were getting into that point with him where he was talking about having to open this other avenue of himself to be able to do acting, where you can be a little broader, more broad spectrum than simply, I'm going to be a badass, so I'm going to be like Josie Wales. I'm going to be the Hollywood archetype character of what ultra masculine means. Well, it means you have no feelings whatsoever. You have no, you're cold, calculated in everything you do. And I think that's probably too narrow. I think people can be. Well, he
talked about that, though. He picked the one profession where you can't do that.
No.
And he said it. He's like, I don't want to be typecast. I want to experience everything. If I got to dress up like a chick, right?
Woman, yeah,
exactly. So,
which, by the way, Rocco, when you do dress up like a woman for a part, that's going to be the funniest thing I ever seen in my life. Unless it's like a really traumatic role, then I'll only make fun of you.
No, if they redo Tootsie.
Yeah.
He'll pull that role.
Right. How are you going to cover his tats? That's what I want to know. Anyways,
the tattooed Mexican.
Listen, I think you're tracking on a big point out there. That, all right, yeah. You do not have to push so far into vulnerability where you lose your masculinity. You do not have to push so far into that space just to prove.
Well, who makes you do that? We choose when and where we drop that guard.
Right. In
front of your wife, I told them, I sleep next to you. Like, I close my eye, like, that's total trust, right? No body armor, no nothing. Back to I'm laying right here asleep, man. That's total vulnerability. What do you want? The outward displays of affection? Well, that goes to your woman and our boys, right? We do show affection.
Oh, and
bears show affection, lions show affection differently than what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Right, and usually the people who complain about the over-masculinity and what we do are the ones who are not as far down the line as we are.
Well, I think to both your points, yes, there is a space and time for all of that to be expressed.
I got a perfect example of that.
Let's hear it.
All right. PTR rollback land,
Oh, Jesus. Thanks for that memory.
right? Instructor here, probably
Really appreciate that.
the hardest man on the planet, right?
Pretty hard, dude.
Obviously the fastest one. I'll never forget. During the class up party, one of our guys, Wiseman, was like, "Hey, instructor, I think I'm gonna take you on this run." He's like, "You're gonna need a fucking rocket on your back to catch up with me." This is at the party, right?
Yeah.
And he always had. I mean, he was such a class act instructor because he was always. If you were a student, he was always an instructor, right? Had them
Always.
glasses down, whether or
Always.
not it was daytime or night.
Yeah.
Had that voice.
Yeah.
So me and another buddy of mine, rollback land, come bebopping around the corner in PTR, and he's in there. He's got his shades up on his forehead, and he's on the phone. He's like, he's talking to his daughter.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, it's okay. It's all right. If the boys can be mean every now and again.
Yeah.
Don't, he's going through this whole thing, whole gamut. We do the knock on the door,
Yeah.
and you can just see this butt right in the backside because
Yeah.
he's leaning forward into the cubicle. He's like, hold on, baby, just 1 second, okay? He leans back and drops his shades down with his head. What the fuck do you want? And then just starts beating the piss out of us right there he's like, shut up. All right, daddy's got to go, okay? And then hangs up the phone, drops his shades back down, like switches into character, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what it is. We switch into, it's not an on all the time, off all the time thing with us. I mean, everyone knows that as well. The way the guys, we carry ourselves and just our backstory of what makes us up, makes us a certain way. We carry ourselves a certain way. That's how you can identify one of them. It's because we become what we are. And that dominant lifestyle, the minute we wake up, you know the deal. There's another alpha standing around next to you.
Amen.
Even if it's your best friend, your guard's up, man, because
Always.
we take heavies from our friends harder than we take anything else.
More than anyone else, by
Exactly.
far.
And when the kid, and I learned this now that I'm a husband and a father, man, it's when that wife and them kids, because that's the inner part of you, right, that's staring you in the face. That's how you know you're proficient in what you do.
Totally.
Because you have the emotional capabilities and capacities to accompany it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's a time and a place for ultra masculinity, and there's a time and a place for being a gregarious, family-oriented man.
Yeah.
And that's really where the true skill is. And I love that the example you gave where he was able to transition in and out of that. And I think that was what I found
it's real.
interesting in the beginning was, truly the deeper your development as a male human being, I think the greater your ability to transition in and out of those different roles as necessary. You don't need to avoid either one of them. You just use the one that's appropriate at the appropriate time.
I think that's the difference between women and men. Men have to learn how to do that. Women are naturally capable
They're
of doing
gifted with it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good point. All great points. I really think in the future, Rocco's going to have it's going to take him a little while for sure to feel it out and feel
Being a
his-
dress for a little bit.
Yeah, but I think, what'd you say? Being a dress
for a little bit.
God bless you for saying that.
Feel the
Dude,
breeze.
I love it.
Down below.
Yeah, right.
All right,
I
hey
mean,
man, I love Vincent. Or I should Rocco. Sorry, I took heat for that again. But I just think we're gonna see awesome things from him. And again, make sure you check out his YouTube page, follow him on Instagram. Go drink Lead Slingers whiskey. Do all those things Vincent's a part of, and I did it again. Rocco. Do all those things that Rocco.
Vinci.
Well, here's the thing that I didn't want to say. I didn't want to bring up. Okay, I didn't
I
want to
didn't
bring.
even catch you doing that in the beginning. I don't even know how you turn that around like that. I'm like, hey, what, Vincent? You go by Rocco? He's like, oh, all my friends, everyone calls me Rocco. My mama calls me Vincent, though, but all right, Vincent.
Well, here's the deal, dude. He really likes The Rock, and he posts all these pictures where he'll
Everyone likes The Rock.
No, hold on. He'll superimpose his face like next to Rock hanging out with another dude, and he wears The Rock, the turtleneck and the thing for Halloween. He really digs The Rock. So, hey man.
Did he ask? Have they met?
No, I don't think so. I was gonna bring it up to you, but
oh man,
maybe we should tell him later.
Yeah.
He'd probably be all bent though if he found out you're buddies with him. So, all right. Anyways, thank you, Rocco. Appreciate you coming on, man. You were awesome. We'll definitely, I think, in the future have him back on because the journey he's on just keeps getting better and better. All right. Listen, if this, again, your first show, hoo-yah. All right. If you're a repeat offender, thank you for coming back. We love you. We couldn't do it without you. It's just amazing. If you want to know more, hey man, tnqpodcast.com. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us all over the place. Always posting cool stuff. Be a part of the team, and most importantly, right? It's you becoming a part of our community, our tribe, and the way we're really seeing that, right, Wizard, is people and their contributions to the website and sharing their never quit story.
Every day, listener stories. There's more on there. There's a greater diversity of them. They just keep building up on there. It's great to see people are involved so much that they spend the time to write out. I mean, some of these take time to read through. I mean, these are well thought out. And, well, we've been reading some of the best ones, some of our favorites, and we got another one today, right?
Oh, man. It's a doozy, brother. It's a doozy, and it's perfectly in line for this show. And also, listen, before I read it, I want you to know, when you write these things in, we're reading them, right? We're reading them. And when we look at them and they start hitting us in the feels, man, we're going to read them on air. And if they crush us, if they melt us down and trigger that emotional intelligence, that vulnerability we're talking about, then what happens, Marcus?
Coming on.
You're coming on, and you're going to share that story with everybody else out there. But we got one today, all right? This is from Chris. Here we go. I have listened to and read many of the Never Quit stories, and it inspired me to write my own. I joined the Army in 1996, right out of high school. I deployed to Iraq in 2003 to 2005. During that time, I saw some stuff and had missions all over the country.
Thanks for your service.
Yeah, thanks, brother. I returned home in March 2005. It is weird being jacked on adrenaline myself, and some of my close buddies had a difficult time transitioning into the peaceful civilian life. Being a member of the National Guard, I returned to work, but was never really the same as I was prior to Iraq. Alcohol helped silence the chaos, but it was always temporary. I was 27, and I wanted to do anything I could to return to war. That was normal. I wanted to return to normal. I got a new job, and that quenched the need to return to war for a little time. I thought I would grab a rotation after being home for a few months and then return to normal. It's crazy that we actually think about going to war as being normal, isn't it? I mean, it's nuts, dude. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's your
Quiet,
normal.
quiet, calm.
That's your own normal.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think we'd go over as many times as we do if it wasn't that way.
Right? Shit. In 2006, I became ill. I figured it was the flu, and I just would let it ride out. My symptoms became worse. I am not one to run to the doctor after every little cough. It was October. I began having symptoms. In December, I had lost 20 pounds and was white as a ghost. With pressure from my family at Christmas, I decided to get it checked out. Needless to say, it was probably the right choice. I was admitted to the hospital and underwent multiple tests. All were inconclusive. I was transferred to the Huntsman Cancer Institute due to the similarities of symptoms, but no direct cancer diagnosis. Another round of tests, and I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, stage 4. An aggressive chemotherapy regimen was given. This little sickness was 45 days in the hospital, 22 blood transfusions, and multiple surgeries. I had severe nerve damage in my legs and could not walk. Apparently, my liver had expanded and it caused my legs to swell. I had to have a spinal injection of chemotherapy each day prior to my 8-hour chemo treatment. This occurred every 2 weeks. Due to the damage in my legs, I was told that I would not be able to walk normally, let alone run again. I was still in the military. This was not an option. It took 4 months after my hospital stay to be able to walk at a normal pace again. I still had the desire to go back to war. But the Army does not allow those who are recovering from cancer or under doctor supervision to deploy. In fact, I was scheduled to go in front of a medical board in Fort Carson so they could begin discharging me from the Army. I wanted to serve my time and obtain a retirement. I was an E6 during this period. I was young when I got sick and 31 when I was able to return to full duty. I had to fight to stay in. In November 2009, I decided to submit my packet to become a warrant officer. I was approved in December and had a class date in March 2010 for candidate school. I began training immediately. Running was very difficult, but I'm not going to have someone tell me what I can or cannot do. I began running a few steps at a time and worked up to several miles. Candidate school is intensely physical and mental. I was running at a 7-minute mile in the high elevations, and Fort Rucker is much closer to sea level. The first run, I was one of 12 who completed the fast-paced 3-mile run. From that point on, I would never give up. I would give it my all. I graduated and became a W01 April 28th, 2010. The hard times gives us the fortitude to dig deep, to see what we have inside. I gained a love for my running by being told I was never going to be able to do that task again. I maintained my military status and eventually retired with 20 years in September 2016. I volunteered multiple times to return to war, but was never able to return. Life is full of trials and tribulations. I was dealt a rough hand. We choose the path we take, and we should not accept defeat because that is the easy way out. Digging deep and looking inward for strength to overcome challenges is the key. I live each and every day in my life with constant pain. I push myself every day of my life to continue on. The fight never ended the day I returned to the U.S. It didn't stop after I completed chemotherapy, nor did it stop when I forced myself to run and return to full strength. It didn't stop when I went through warrant officer school or when I became sick again. The fight is a daily battle with ups and downs. The goal is to never give up. Hardcore, man. Chris, I got to tell you, brother, I read your story and I get fired up.
Yeah, those are the guys that when the younger guys are coming in or when you hear about, that's why you sign up.
Totally.
Right.
Or the guy you're going through to school and the guy next to you has come through cancer, right?
Exactly. You're coming in as a new pup. Everything's virile and ready to go. And you see the crusty mass chief or warrant come walking in there, dragging everything. It takes him a good 30 minutes to get everything moving fast enough to get through that time run. But they still bust it down, right?
Right.
It's
exactly.
like as we go along, it's a package deal with rank. Everything that, all those bad things that come with it, man, that's part of the core curriculum of carrying that rank and what we do, you know, and it's just, man, you just learn to live with that and the rest of it.
Well, I mean, he even took it one step forward, too. I mean, you know, here's a dude that had cancer. It almost killed him. It almost made him so he couldn't walk. And yet he's like, that ain't gonna stop me.
Yeah, because if something would have got a hold of me in there, prevented me from running, that'd have been okay.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, dude. I love the fact that you cannot run, dude.
Isn't it bad?
And
it
we
still
run
bothers me, man.
so
I know.
much in buds, dude, in the teams, period.
I know.
Period.
Yeah, I should have went in the Air Force.
You know what? When you take a step back, that's actually something to
Pretty
contemplate.
good idea. I know. When an axe comes up and he's like, hey, Dad, if he was
I'm going to be a team guy.
Let's check that running skill real fast, son. I'm hoping I passed most everything good down to you, but there's a pretty good chance you got that.
You can't run for
the elephant
squat.
gene, yeah.
The elephant gene. Well, Chris, thank you for writing in. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for staying true to your dream, your quest. You know, the one thing that I know is that your battle was every bit as important as you going back to war. And the fact that you're sharing that battle with our listeners and with our team now, man, that's something impressive.
I mean, when you said it out loud like that, it takes it to a different level. I mean, most people, you know, something debilitating like that, an extra pain, you take the rest of your life trying to get through it and get around it. You're trying to get through it to get to war.
Right?
I mean, to fight for the country.
Yeah.
Soldier.
And learning that experience, you got to know he become. I bet he was a great warrant. I bet he's a great, whatever he's doing right now, dude. I just thanks, Chris. I want to keep going and bring a close to this great show and just thank God. I want to thank my girls. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my friends, and I want to thank all the listeners out there. And again, without you guys keep coming back, you're everything. You're the reason why our tribe, the Team Never Quit, is flourishing. Please keep writing in. And I want to thank Rocco. Man, what a great guest. And you two. Thanks, gents. I just really appreciate being able to do what we do.
You too, buddy.
Thanks, Rocco, bro. Vincey. I've had a hell of a time being linking up with him, becoming his friend, man. It's following him on that journey. Started with Range 15, then them dragging me in on that. I appreciate that. That was good times, and definitely to everybody who keeps bringing us back up here.
Crazy.
I mean, good Lord, I can't believe it most of the time. Thank we're podcasters, right? And the guests that would keep coming on here, and it's the cool part about it is starting to hear it now, and the connecting just the everyday listener to somebody that
can inspire.
Yeah, inspire them on the other end like that, and vice versa. Because now the readers or the listeners are writing in, and I've talked to some of our guests and like, man, I heard that one story about and I'm like, so it's reciprocal, man. It's coming back up the other way. Well, that's pretty cool. So thank y'all for that. I'm out.
Never quit. Team Never Quit. Team Never Quit Radio.